Hi, my name is Luis Ramos, business manager passionate about innovation and people.
Hi, I'm Alfredo, market researcher excited to learn all about consumer trends.
We are two young researchers eager to learn here in Lima.
Peru, filled with colonial history, beautiful architectures, environments such as jungle, islands and coast, animal wildlife, and Machu Picchu, one of the seven wonders of the world.
Yes, I know, that's what you know about Peru. But today we want to show you another side of our reality. We want to show you the face of discrimination, the Peru of intolerance.
Although we have many things to be proud of, Peruvians still live in a hostile environment, especially for vulnerable populations such as the LGBTIQ+ community. More than 1.7 million Peruvians, representing 8% of the adult population, receive comments such as, "I'm not being homophobic, but gays and lesbians should be thrown gasoline and burned. So pretty, but ashamed she's a lesbian." I hope you recapacitate. After years, you will realize it was all just a mistake. As a heterosexual male, how would it make you feel having an homosexual teacher around your child for 8 hours a day?
And these aggressive comments are manifested too in the reality that the LGBTIQ plus community lives with their families, public spaces, and job opportunities.
54.7% of the LGBTIQ+ community stated that they are afraid to express their sexual orientation or gender identity. 71% of Peruvians consider that this population is discriminated. And also, 3 out of 10 people wouldn't hire an homosexual.
This situation is aggravated by a still conservative Peruvian society that does not recognize or include them. It's time to stop this, and the NGO Presente has been working with that objective. That is why we want to help them in their work, because we believe in the power of market research, and because it's time to transfer the success of its methodologies and tools from the business field to the social dimension. But for this, let's get to know the organization first.
Hi, my name is Gabriel de la Cruz, Presente Manager Director, a non-profit organization dedicated to incorporating LGBTQ+ diversity in Peru. We dream with a country with citizens and institutions that respect and celebrate LGBTQ+ diversity. For that reason, our mission is to create a favorable environment in Peruvian society where LGBTQ+ people can fully develop personally, professionally, and politically. All our advocacy is categorized into two main spheres of work: outreach to employers, promoting inclusive workplace policies, and outreach to the culture sector as a strategy of reaching a broad audience. For that reason, we are very pleased to have been part of this project because Luis and Alfredo are answering our principal question. What is the most strategic way to talk with a Peruvian audience to build a bridge of communication with them?
But how can we change this situation? How can we help Presente fight violence against the LGBTIQ plus community? The organization has been working towards this objective. It has built a network of allied organizations and actors that have the power to reach the great masses of citizens. However, what should this message be? With all this accumulated power, the challenge is to know how to speak to Lima citizens. That is the objective of this research, for which we believe it's necessary to attack myths and vulnerability strategically. It's not enough to propose a creative message. It is necessary to rethink, to take action. This is why we propose to go through a path of 3 stages: segmentation, ideation, and validation. The objective was to design an iterative process that will allow the research to adapt according to the results of each stage. In this way, in the segmentation, we first set out to know the citizens of Lima, what they think, what are their perceptions, in order to cluster them into groups according to their attitudes. Subsequently, this information was analyzed by multidisciplinary experts who developed 2 proposals based on a design thinking workshop. Finally, we apply behavioral science in a virtual community in which we test the community response of citizens to these 2 proposals. We will proceed to analyze each of these stages.
In the quantitative stage, using an attitudinal scale, the citizens of Lima were segmented, using a representative probabilistic sample into 5 profiles: strong rejection, rejection, ambiguity, acceptance, and strong acceptance, towards the community. The strong rejection represented the 1% of the sample, so we did not include them. This result is made out of 412 participants distributed between heterosexual men and women of 18 to 55 years old living on Lima. We discovered that more men were on ambiguity. On the other hand, women on acceptance. Also, the younger people are, the more acceptance towards the community they have. And finally, people without children are often in the acceptance profile. We were able of grouping several traits in the segment with regards to their personality, environment, attitudes, and prejudice for every segment. Using this information, we shall present the different segments discovered in the first stage. They chose to focus its strategy on the ambiguity segment, those who are not in acceptance, neither in rejection of the LGBTIQ+ community, which is the reason this is the only segment analyzed thoroughly. In personality, we know that following social norms and traditions is extremely important for them. They are also quite religious. They also find it difficult when there are opinions different from their own, and cannot decide whether they need to justify their behaviors and attitudes with other people. In environment, the way how people look and dress is important, because that influences how they are perceived. They also are open to accept differences in the work environment. In attitudes, they do not know what to feel, or if it should be tolerated, or even if it's natural to see a gay or lesbian couple on the street. They find it harder to decide on rejection when they see 2 women kissing, unlike of 2 men. In prejudice, we found that they are still present in this group, especially that they are a bad example for children. However, they do not think that gays and lesbians are bad people.
These insights were presented to 10 multidisciplinary experts: psychologists, communicators, sociologists, publicists, and activists. For 4 hours, they had the challenge of creating 2 solution proposals through a design thinking methodology: empathize, ideate, prototype, and test. For these first 3 stages, we use innovation tools such as the user persona, the idea generation for brainstorming, the quick fire idea, and the elevator pitch. The result was 2 ideas to change the ambiguous segment. Later, we refined these ideas in a workshop with citizens of the ambiguous segment. This group analyzed the best and the worst of the ideas created by the experts, allowing us to modify them. The result was 2 concrete solutions proposals.
The first idea, the school empathy program, was designed to impact the ambiguity segment with something very deep and meaningful to them, their children. Therefore, the program aims to teach the school students about different social topics, such as gender equality, racism, the LGBTIQ+ community, and inclusiveness for people with disabilities.
The second idea was a communication campaign about experiences of discrimination. Based on the quantitative, it was known that empathy was an issue to take advantage of in the segment of the ambiguous. So this proposal had the objective of making them remember their past experiences of discrimination. For example, being mistreated for being fat, Indian, coming from the highlands, speak differently, or because of skin color. And then present discrimination for being gay or lesbian. They were expected to associate feelings in these 2 situations. Finally, these 2 proposals were validated in virtual communities with the aim of knowing how a community of the ambiguous segment responds to the solutions proposed by the experts. 1 platform, 7 days of community, 32 active participants, and 568 publications. At the end of the virtual community, we knew that there's a better reaction to idea 2, the communication campaign. This communication campaign had a better result among the participants who identified themselves with experiences of discrimination show. It was observed that the ambiguous segment emphasized with the discrimination suffered by homosexuals and related their past experiences of discriminations with experiences of the homosexual characters presented.
In the outputs of the research, we found as a first result that the research identified different attitudinal segments of Lima citizens. This allowed Presente to focus its strategy on a specific audience and learn more about the profile of the audience in which it wants to generate a change in behavior. Additionally, the allied companies of Presente will be able to identify these groups within their clients and workers, achieving to implement personalized communication strategies to each segment, especially with a view to Pride Month 2021.
This research also provides to Presente and a group of allied companies two proposals designed by multidisciplinary experts based on a design thinking workshop. These proposals can represent routes of action for the campaigns of these organizations. Finally, this research also has a product of simulation of the potential response of the community of the ambiguous segment. This information can be a guide for the campaigns that Presente and the allied organizations develop for this specific segment.
What we learned: don't be afraid to learn new methods. There are new tools that can enrich our research, disciplines such as design thinking or behavioral science that were applied in this research. Always step up to new challenges. See them as an opportunity to keep learning in order of getting better results.
We also learn to be quick and flexible when researching. Research is not a static phenomenon, but changes as the environment changes. For this reason, it is important to be attentive to changes in order to adapt each result to the organization strategy. In this case, we had to adapt the research to the pandemic phenomenon. And we also developed capacities to organize and lead this investigation, managing organizations and allied professionals who guide us in the process.
We learned to go beyond established. Market research is able to go beyond economic results, focusing on leaving a perdurable mark in society. Do not settle for what have you learned so far. Always push forward into new horizons, never losing the curiosity for researching.
Yes, it's up to us to give the best in our work as researchers, but not only to know and understand society, but also to build a better society.
It is up to us to use our talents to make a positive impact.
It is up to us to transform the world from researching.
Time to be the change.
Time to research to include.